All right. Next up, we're gonna talk about this top 10 quarterback list real quick. So, you know, all of the all of the media outlets are talking about this. I guess it's a slow news cycle for the NFL. So, there was a poll amongst eight coaches and executives and players ranking the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and this was the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. So we see here we got number one Aaron Rodgers, two Patrick Mahomes, three Josh Allen, four Tom Brady, five Joe Burrow, six Matt Stafford, seven Justin Herbert, eight Russell Wilson, nine Deshaun Watson, 10 Dak Prescott. And the reason why this is making so much headway in the media is because people are outraged that Lamar Jackson wasn't included in the top 10. They believe that there's massive disrespect on the part of this poll, on the part of this list, because Lamar Jackson should be in the top 10. And so there's just, it's media fodder, right? You need something to talk about. This is a piece of content to talk about. And so it's all about, dissecting this list, analyzing it, talking about Lamar Jackson. Why is he not included? Who do you remove if you're going to include him? Is he really a top 10 quarterback? The merit of the list in totality, so on and so forth. So we figured we would offer some 2 cents into that since we're on this sports kick. What did you make of the list? And the Lamar Jackson thing, I guess.
So I'll address the Lamar Jackson thing first.
Okay.
So as far as the Lamar Jackson thing, I do feel like that's the media fodder there. I feel like that's them trying to find something out of this. Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson. Oh, this is basically what it is passive aggressive race baiting. And so they're not going to overtly say that, oh, let's find some race baiting stuff. No, let's find the athletic, fast black quarterback that everybody thinks is good, right? Oh, Lamar didn't make the list. This is perfect. Because now this could be some type of weird racist thing, right? Who knows? Why are they blackballing Lamar? And so they have this angle where they're trying to play this up. My whole thing is, why'd you pick Lamar? There's other young quarterbacks that could have been on this list that didn't make it. I'm not a David Carr advocate. I think he's okay. But at the same time, some Raiders fans might be like, hey, well, why aren't you talking about Derek Carr? Can't think of nobody else off the top of my head right now, but this is
and Colin, not to cut you off, but the only person who I saw who brought up David Carr was Colin Cowherd, who is one of the few people in the media who actually is, I'm not trying to turn this into a media bashing segment, but yeah. Colin Cowherd is one of the few people who I watch and listen to who makes sense most of the time. Mm-hmm. The rest of these people out here are just gas bags with an opinion. But Colin Cowherd is actually he's a pretty smart guy. I'm a fan of his stuff. And he was the only one who mentioned David Carr. Well, Derek Carr. Yeah,
but sidebar, that boy be whipping the ball. And, and so honestly, I really felt like we'll see what he does with Adams. But that boy, he be whipping. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think he should be on this list. But, people might have something to say about it. Honestly, I don't know what the criteria was for this thing. So right. I would like to hear your opinion on some of these things. But I don't, I think Deshaun Watson shouldn't be there. I don't know why they threw him in there. Because if he's really on this list, he should be up there. He should be past Joe Burrow. So I think he's well, Joe's pretty goddamn good. That boy, he's better than Justin Herbert.
He is. Right? He's better than at this point, you would have to. I would have to agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's better than Matt Stafford too. So if he's on this list, he's better than Matt. If you put Deshaun Watson on the Rams, whoa. You know what I'm saying? So Matt Stafford's good, but so my thing is, I don't know why Deshaun's there. If he is there, I feel like he should be a little higher. I feel like they just threw him in for some talk. But overall, I think this list is pretty solid. But again, I don't know what they're basing this off of. I guess, throwing ability. But I don't know, man. How do you feel about this? How you feel about the list and the Jackson stuff?
Okay, so I didn't act. That angle that you brought up with Lamar Jackson, I actually didn't think of that. That's actually kind of interesting,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you know what? To be honest, looking at this list, if it wasn't for the inclusion of 8, 9, and 10, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes he's undeniable. So I don't even though he's black, I don't include him.
Right.
So if it wasn't for the inclusion of 8, 9, and 10, I do think that like the media would have at least subtly introduced a race component into the conversation by excluding Lamar Jackson.
Totally.
So I think that that's actually interesting. I didn't think of that. So that's actually something for me to ponder. I honestly didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, first of all, right out the gate, let me just say that lists are stupid. I hate lists. They're dumb. However, they do provide for content to talk about. But outside of the fact that they are sources of content, lists are stupid as hell. They're stupid because they are entirely subjective. Like you just said, what's the criteria for ordering this? Like all we know is that it was all we know is who was actually polled in this, and it was league executives, coaches, and players. Other than that, it's just so we know what they think, and they think these are the top 10 guys, and they don't think Lamar Jackson is top 10. So if you have a problem with Lamar Jackson being excluded from the top 10, you need to go to the people in the NFL because that's what they think. That ain't what fans think. That's not what social media thinks. That's what coaches and people who are involved in the NFL think. Now, me personally,
mm-hmm.
I think a lot of this boils down to who are if you just replace, because the name of this list is the top 10 quarterbacks, right? If you just take that out and you put in top 10 quarterbacks whose style is most likely to win a Super Bowl, then I think there's less of an argument here. Because that's what I think the essence of this list is. It's all about who are the quarterbacks who play in a certain kind of way that if they're on your team and everything goes well, you have the greatest chance to win a Super Bowl. And that's why Lamar Jackson isn't on this, because even though Lamar Jackson was a unanimous MVP, which is the main thing that people point to as to why it's so egregious that he's excluded. How do you exclude a guy who was a unanimous MVP? Well, because for that year he put up great stats, but so what? Like that's who, it's not a stat. This is not a stat list. And the reason why he was a unanimous MVP was because for that 1 year, he was a bottle rocket who put up fantastic numbers. Thus, he was a unanimous MVP. To me, that doesn't mean that you're automatically a top 10 quarterback. However, I can say that, but still at the same time say, I kind of think that Lamar Jackson is better than Dak Prescott. So,
No.
You don't think so? I mean, I don't, but the thing, so let me look at, so here's why I think that this list is kind of misleading. So I pulled up the last, let me read off every quarterback who has won a Super Bowl since 2010. Okay, starting with 2010. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Nick Foles, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. So in that entire list, the only player who is even remotely comparable to Lamar Jackson is Russell Wilson. And a lot of people suggest that year, that team was mostly anchored by the defense, not by the offense. So even though we can all acknowledge that Russell Wilson is a great quarterback, there's also the idea that team was about the Legion of Boom in the defense and the running game with Marshawn Lynch, not Russell Wilson.
Right.
So even if you exclude the outlier of Russell Wilson, every single quarterback that I just mentioned plays a certain kind of way from an athletic and from a cerebral standpoint. Lamar Jackson does not fit that mold. Hence, why I think this list is mostly about the type of quarterback who, from a stylistic standpoint, is most likely to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And that's why I think Lamar Jackson was left off the list. So I'm not offended by that personally, number one, because I don't think stylistically he lends himself to being a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And number two, and this is my personal opinion, I really don't think he's as great as ESPN tells me he is. I think that he is above average. I don't want to skirt him, so he's great and all, but he's somebody who is more athletic than a cerebral pocket passing quarterback. And sue me for thinking that cerebral pocket passing quarterbacks who throw with accuracy are most likely to win Super Bowls. And that's what I think this list is about. So that's my 2 cents on it. Otherwise, I don't really have a problem with it. And I don't really feel some type of way because Lamar isn't on it, because I'm not really that high on Lamar to begin with.
So let's say this, right? So now that you say that, because I was looking at this as throwing talent, like I didn't know what this was about, because even though I love Aaron Rodgers, he's fun to watch, and honestly, he really doesn't get much help. But the thing is, he really doesn't get much help. So I had to re-say that because I'm thinking about what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
I was about to say, because basically, if you had a team, right, it's stacked, but it's not too stacked, but you just need that quarterback to help you win the Super Bowl. So let's say that you have that roster already built and you can sign anybody, right, for that 1 year to make a playoff run, right? So would you have Aaron Rodgers as your top one on this list here?
Before last year, I would have said yeah. But that loss last year in the playoffs at home left a bad taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, bro, like, okay, so we were born in 80. You were born in 85, right? I was born in 86. Mm-hmm. Okay, so in the lifetime of me watching this, Aaron Rodgers, to me, in terms of just watching somebody play quarterback with my eyes, is the best I ever saw. He's better than anybody I've ever seen play. In terms of just the way he throws it, how accurate he is, how he pretty much never throws a pick. He's the best I ever saw play. However, there's something off about the way that the teams keep losing in the playoffs. And I can't put my finger on it other than what you say about him not having help. So the question therein becomes, if you swap Aaron, let's say if you put Aaron Rodgers on the Bucs, would the Bucs have won the Super Bowl?
That's what I'm saying. That's still tough.
And it's like I can't definitively say for sure yes, because I don't know, and so I can't really. If you get me in a vacuum, the team is stacked, and you just need a quarterback, and you want to win a Super Bowl, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, I'm going Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's what
I'm going Tom Brady. I'm going Brady.
Yeah.
And after Brady, I might go Allen or Mahomes before I go Aaron Rodgers because of the way Aaron Rodgers has looked in the playoffs, where you're always favored and you lose at home anyway, despite you being favored. Like, that is not a good look. And so even though I've always been an Aaron Rodgers fan and I've always felt like Aaron Rodgers was the best from a skill standpoint, it's the whole KD LeBron thing. It's like, I want you to win to validate how I feel about your talent, but you keep coming up short. So at a certain point, I have to relent and just take the evidence for what it is. Mm-hmm. And so to answer your question directly, I'd probably have to go Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and that's why I don't know what this list is. It might be to date.
I think it's just pure, in a vacuum, just ability. I think that's what it is. I think it's just because look at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is number 7, and in terms of what he's achieved in terms of what he's achieved in the league thus far, Justin Herbert's not better than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, right.
And even though Deshaun's been MIA for a while, based on what he did in the years that he was healthy, even though he didn't have much help either, I might go Deshaun over Justin Herbert too. So I kind of think that this is like an in a vacuum talent, the way they get it done, throwing the ball kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to on the Deshaun Watson thing, man, I didn't know he was that young. He's only a year older than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And so Deshaun Watson was doing this 4 years ago.
Right.
So Deshaun Watson is better. And if you give Deshaun Watson Jamar Chase and all this other, and Joe Mixon and all this other stuff here, And the seeding, because they had a sweet path to the Super Bowl too. I'm not
Yeah.
taking anything away from what they did, because it's still the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, they had a sweet path, and they have a good young roster.
Yeah.
Something that in Houston, they had J.J. Watt and they had Hopkins.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's it. And you know how good Deshaun Watson is like you know how we used to always watch teams. We would always watch games where there was a quarterback and you had a superstar otherworldly receiver. And we would spend the whole time watching the game saying, F it, just throw to that guy. Exactly. Just keep throwing him the ball. Mm-hmm. Keep throwing it to him. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, we would watch the whole game, and it's like the receiver would get like 2 targets the whole game. Why aren't you throwing to this guy more? Deshaun would just throw the ball to Hopkins all game long. And it was like he was still able to get it to him. Despite the fact that there were no other weapons on the team, he was able to get it to him. So I give Deshaun credit for stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And so, to go back to what you said, like, yeah, if this is a list of, hey, because let's make this our list now of, hey, team stack ready to go. We just need a quarterback to win. I'm picking Tom every time. Sorry, even though I can't stand the mother lover, I would pick him every time, because why? I've learned to not bet against him. And so if you give him a team, which he did in Tampa Bay, literally this literal scenario, and he pushed them over the top.
Yeah.
Yep. I would hot take this and say Josh Allen. I will hot take that, Josh Allen that. At least in this top tier here, I would say Josh Allen over Mahomes. I think Mahomes is a great arm talent. I think he's a gamer himself. But at the same time, we'll see what he does with no Tyreek, even though I think Mecole Hardman and all those guys, they still have people. But we'll see what happens. But I like Josh Allen a lot. Yeah. I really like him. I feel like he's really good. So I'll take Josh Allen over that. And then Mahomes. Yeah, man. I would take Joe. Honestly, I would take Joe Burrow over the rest of these people too.
Yeah, because Joe Burrow was getting it done despite the fact that he was getting beat up. Like, he was getting sacked a lot. And I like the fact that he just – I like quarterbacks who get the ball to playmakers.
Yeah, and
he does that. Get the ball to your playmakers. And so the reason why I like Joe Burrow is because he said Jamar Chase is a cheat code. I'm throwing Jamar Chase the ball. I hate it when I'll have to sit here and watch these quarterbacks not get the ball to playmakers. And I don't want to hear shit about scheme or the opposing defenses, because you don't think opposing defenses are scheming against Jamar Chase?
Exactly.
Like, of course they are. But somehow, some way, Joe Burrow can still manage to get the ball to the guy. Now, some of that has to do with Jamar Chase, because he is, in fact, a cheat code, but he ain't the only cheat code in existence.
Exactly.
So it's like, get the ball to the playmakers. And so that's why I like Burrow. I was always a fan of Stafford personally. I felt like he got a raw deal in Detroit because I used to watch their games, and he got the ball to Calvin Johnson. He got the ball. Calvin Johnson retired early because he got the ball so much that he was just getting pounded all the time. But he nevertheless got the ball to the guy.
He got the ball.
Yeah.
He got the ball to Cooper Kupp too. And it didn't matter. You knew exactly who it was going to. And he still got it to him. It was like a big ass bomb too, like at the end of the game. And I was like, are you kidding me? Who else was he going to throw it to? And he still got it to the guy. I always like Matt Stafford too.
I've always rooted for him, so I was glad that he won last year.
Yeah,
Matthew Stafford was my the way I felt about Andrew Wiggins this year winning the NBA championship. That's how I felt about Stafford last year. Like, I'm just glad he got that, because I watched his games, and I used to watch him and say, this guy is not the reason why they're losing. And he's throwing the ball to the playmaker. You got the defense giving up a zillion points a game, and they suck on special teams. This is not this guy's fault. Get him out of Detroit. So I just felt like he had a raw deal. But the rest of this list is whatever to me. To me, Justin Herbert, that's a bit premature. But again, I feel like the line of thinking with this is just in a vacuum, quarterback throwing arm talent, accuracy, ability. That's what I think this is.
Yeah.
And that's why I think Lamar Jackson is not in there. However, I will say I kind of feel like Lamar Jackson isn't top 10, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't think he's top 10. So that might be controversial to some. If you want to say that he's still better, if you want to say, yeah, well, if he's not top 10, then neither is Justin Herbert because he's better than Justin Herbert at this point, fine, and get rid of Justin Herbert too. I don't care. I just don't think Lamar Jackson is top 10.
Nah.
But yeah, that's pretty much how I think on that.
Yeah. So revised list one real quick. So swap Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady for me, and swap Josh Allen and Mahomes for my top 5 there. And I more or less do not disagree with that. But I don't think Lamar belongs on this list. I think he's just a gamer. He's not. He's a gamer who plays quarterback.
Yeah.
And so it reflects in his stats and everything else that, yeah, man, he's just out there wielding the team to wins. I don't know how sustainable that is. So that's why I wouldn't want to build a franchise around that. So
yeah.
But
I mean, listen, man. Like I said, history and body of work. I read off every quarterback that won a Super Bowl since 2010, and I could have gone back even further. Mm-hmm. Point me a quarterback who has been on a Super Bowl winning team that played like Lamar Jackson. And it's no slight towards the guy. I'm just pointing out the facts. I'm just stating the history of what's happened. So I'm not trying to criticize him or anything like that. I'm just saying the history of the league suggests those guys tend to not win Super Bowls.
If he keeps throwing the ball like that, and I if you watch Lamar throw, you know what I'm talking about. It's a lazy throw. He can get it there because his arm is so flick of the wrist, and he just depends on that. And it's not mechanically right. And so it's a jumper that got him through high school and college. That's great, bro. You're in the pros. You gotta set your base. You gotta have a right fundamentally sound throwing motion. And he neglects it. So that's why he has so many, passes sailing and stuff like that. And he's banging his helmet. Damn, I missed that. And it's like, yeah, bro, you didn't set your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he decides to get that together, then yeah, he can, come further up this list, because as far as arm strength goes, he's up there with Josh Allen and Mahomes in my
mm-hmm.
book.
Yeah.
So he just need to get it together.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've seen him fling it crazy.
Yeah.
But that don't mean everything. I mean, what was the guy who was a bust? He was the number 1 overall pick. He got drafted by the Raiders.
Russell.
Jamarcus Russell, yeah. He could sit on his knees and throw the ball 80 yards.
Yeah.
And where did that get him?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I've seen Lamar Jackson throw the ball a real pretty spiral, a very far long distance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you got to be able to plant. You got to be able to throw with timing and accuracy.
Right, bro.
All of that stuff matters. All of these talking heads on radio and on TV and on these podcasts making all these excuses. Like, look, man, what works. If you're not accurate and if you can't zip it in there with accuracy and timing, it's just not going to work long term. It is what it is. Certain things about this game remain unchanged, and that's one of them. That's why Tom Brady can be a zillion years old and still effective, because he's accurate as shit and he anticipates his throws.
Exactly, bro. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's my thing. It's like Tom figured it out, and so somebody else can. And it's just like, and then you just sit there, watch him pick teams apart, and he's doing these timing throws and all this other stuff, and it's just like, hey, why can't anybody else do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's baffling to me, but hey, kudos to Tom, because I put him number 1 on my list, so he should be happy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as it pains me to say, man, kudos to Tom, man. All right, so next up, we're gonna close out talking.